Well, excellent. Well, good. I think we can still say morning, even though we are going towards um, midday, and I'm sure that some of you are probably already quite hungry. But nevertheless, I promised to Christina that I will give some kind of like ideas about concretely what is already done when we talk about this kind of a Startup Village Alliance, because obviously, even though the concept is absolutely new in a way, there's already a lot of things that are done, and this is obviously where DIH is tremendously contributing with EAT food programs. So this may not be all completely new to all of you, but I nevertheless hope that we are actually demonstrating something that is really concrete. So let's go up from the skies down on the earth. And what I often say is that food doesn't come from the skies, okay? And I think that we all agree that this is true. It's about emotions, it's about social interaction, it's about indeed nutrition, but it's also about technology. And this last part of a technology is also something that sometimes people have a lot of difficulties to understand that, well, how can you actually innovate in food? But I have another example for you where the technology is often seen as even more abstract. I once knew a R&D director of a very large concrete company, so making constructions and concrete. And he used to be that there's concrete, there's high tech, low tech, and then there's concrete. So I don't think that we can actually really say that for food, because food is indeed still a lot about technology. But yes, let's go to this topic of the day, which is like, how can we enhance innovation and moving towards future-proof, let's say, more resilient regional way of doing growing food, and obviously doing innovation. So let's skip this one. And so many things were said already in this morning, and really fantastic speeches. But I think that we should look at, though, that what are the challenges in terms of like opportunities, because even if we talk about problems, we should actually, as you know, always turn them into the, let's say, opportunities. So it's terrible when you see sometimes the figures, you say, oh, wow, but okay, 30% of the EU population live in EU rural areas. It's kind of not a lot when you actually really think about then that how many people are living in urban areas. But what do we count in urban areas? Is it also like suburbs where they are not like really urban, but they are kind of semi-urban? And then people maybe feel that, okay, I would actually like to go indeed somewhere a little bit more greener, places where I can actually live and breathe a little bit better. Then EU rural areas cover over 80% of the EU territory. Well, that's huge, right? So it means that obviously we are very much attached to our agriculture heritage, and that a lot of things are also still done in the fields indeed. Most of the rural areas are also among the latest favored regions in the EU, so from the GDP capita. It is probably exactly for these reasons, is that Startup Village Initiative Alliance has been missing. So who is there to pull together, let's say, these kind of like movements that are making people to think together and joining the forces? So we need definitely these kind of initiatives. Then obviously erosion of infrastructure and services. I mean, I don't know if I'm now referring to Augusta's picture of the infrastructure. That was, I think, a really quite extraordinary reality indeed in maybe in some rural areas. But nevertheless, infrastructure doesn't mean necessarily urban infrastructure, right? So it may mean something else. And it is this something else as well we need to look at. So the key obviously is in some ways about Green Deal, it's about farm to fork. These kind of initiatives has been brought to us, and what we try to really go forward. Now, EIT food, it's not about presentation of EIT food, but I really want to simply say to you that, for example, what Christine and DIH has been doing in Lithuania, first of all, it's absolutely extraordinary. In only 4 or 5 years, there has been a huge increase and kind of like a understanding from the policymakers, but as well as the whole, let's say, ecosystem and between all the stakeholders that together we need to do something. I have to say, I have never seen something like this. So this is really extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. So bravo for Lithuanians. And indeed, this is really a fantastic example. I talk about it all the time when I go around because this is really great. So uh, obviously, I mean, we went all through COVID and then became the Ukrainian crisis, and we kind of now seem to be in a kind of a new era where it's a lot of crisis management, right? But again, those crises are bringing those opportunities. And one of those opportunities indeed is that can we talk about food? Can we talk about agri-food? Can we put it in the center of our attention and plate because that's where it's supposed to be? So far, we always thought about that indeed the food was coming from the skies. Well, it really doesn't. And we actually really need to see that, okay, where it is coming from. And so I don't know why, what was our thinking when we said that when we look at the agri-food area and especially on this agri-food Startup Village Alliance initiative, that if we really get this movement going to the direction where we want and deliver the impact that also Augustus was talking about, that what kind of impact will it will have. And in EAT Food, we have 3 missions. One is healthier lives through healthier food, net zero food system, and a fully transparent, fair, and resilient food system. And actually, quite frankly, we were probably looking at it more from the economical and a kind of a let's say, food movement side, and we were thinking that that's why maybe 2 of the 3 missions are applicable. But actually, the impact, if we are going to have a great a startup, let's say, movement and communities, and the agri-food sector is going to be a vibrant part of this one, then I think that we can certainly also add the kind of a more healthier lives, not only through food, but also maybe lifestyle, because the lifestyle question is also something that, we need to address. There's maybe a momentum for this one as well, because in many cases, I mean, we can have brilliant ideas all along, but if the momentum is missing, it will not happen. But now we have the momentum, and I think we need to seize it, everybody, because otherwise we will miss it and may not come back again, quite frankly, right away. So we talk about kind of like 3 things, which is integration, food 4.0, and sustainability. And these are the kind of areas where I think that, and I'm sure that, through the panel discussion that we are also going to have, some of these areas are going to be touched. We are very much on the ground, so this is not like a blue skies thinking. This is already some things that you are doing, we are all doing. So it is only a matter of how can we harness everything we do for this common good. So we talk about obviously collaboration and partnerships. Well, isn't it sometimes so difficult to collaborate? I mean, I have my ideas, and what would be so fantastic is that I can talk maybe with Christina or I can talk with Augustas, but my goodness, do I actually really have to have a consortium around it? Do I have to actually share my ideas with a very big audience? Well, we do, because that is how we are going to make these things work out. So let's get out. Let's talk, let's exchange, let's build those, let's say, solutions together. Then, obviously, we need to also close the gaps between research and business. I mean, these are kind of like a never-ending topics, right? I mean, and quite frankly, I don't know what gap is there, really, because I think that we talk, we understand each other's value. So maybe the gap isn't there. Actually, we just need to continue the good work that we are already doing. So let's forget about the gap. Let's just go forward. Then in Food 4.0, we are obviously talking about food support, applying solutions to that lead to reduction of the food insecurity and food safety issues. I mean, really, food insecurity, I mean, it didn't exist only a couple of years. I mean, it was not in our vocabulary. It did not exist. Now it's back, and we need to deal it. And when we talk about security, the food is also key to the regional security. It's also the fact that people don't have a desire to leave their countries because they have nothing to eat. So far we have been talking about those people who have nothing to eat, but as a kind of like abstract, maybe very regional problem. But now it is actually really a big problem. And then on the other hand, we have obviously people who obesity, the health areas that we need to also tackle. And Food 4.0 can help on this one. We heard about the deep tech approach as well, and therefore obviously technology in the food and agri-food area is absolutely key to solve these issues. And when we talk about, again, like Startup Alliance, this is definitely something that we need to look at. So, for example, precision farming uses different emerging technologies. Not only precision farming, it can be also regenerative farming. It can be also things that, where we thought that, well, how can this technology help us to actually make that really big step so that we basically change the paradigms. And it's about changing the paradigms that we absolutely need to do. It's a changing mindset. It's about looking at these problems from the different angle. This is nothing new to you. I know that you already, everyone do it. And then sustainability. Obviously, probably, just again, a few years ago, sustainability was again like something rather abstract. And we were kind of thinking that, okay, how should we tackle this one? And now it is in the vocabulary of our, let's say, school children. They know when we talk about sustainability, what is it that we actually really mean, or at least for them, it means something really precise. When we talk about sustainability in terms of how we want our society to actually really develop, what kind of a rural areas we want to develop, it doesn't mean that rural areas are all sustainable. We know this, but it is actually really also key to this sustainability approach that we have. And then obviously there are very precise things like food waste that we are already tackling. We have already great solutions on that one, and you will see in a few minutes. And then also obviously using the side streams, but using it for what? Because it is still food. So is it something that we will use for food production, like maybe protein production, or are we going to use it for energy? Well, food is energy because it is energy for people, but are we actually going to do something that our cars or our vehicles are going to be able to work? Well, that's a big question. And I am not sure if we have actually really all the answers, or best answers for that one yet. So I promised you some really good examples. Andy already mentioned a few of them, but indeed we do have test farm program within EAT Food, where we basically bring those entrepreneurs in contact with the farmers and to test their application or whatever technology they have in the farm. They have agreement with the farmer. So it is the farmer who is deciding whether these startups are coming to their fields. It's kind of like open laboratory and testing laboratory. It's absolutely fantastic because where the farmers, they can actually see. I think someone was using this kind of a plug and play idea, and it is indeed that one. It's like plug and play in the sense that see yourself, see for yourself, see what we're doing, see how it works, and then we go forward. And this is extremely important. I mean, of course, EAT Food, we don't have all the means on this earth. So when we want to scale up something like test farms, this is how I would like to actually reach out to regions and also to make sure that, and countries, to see that, is there any way that we can also join the forces and actually then make sure that, we're able to scale up some of these programs that has been proven to be really great and good, but we cannot like scale them up with the means that we have. But that's certainly first part where we can collaborate. So there's a few examples, as you can see. I mean, these are really real life pictures. These are not fake ones. So indeed, the startups are there to work with the farmers. And there's one example here of a micro plus Poland, but maybe I will not go too much into details of what these are. Nevertheless, as you can see, they go from tech, agri-tech, to food tech, into very kind of like a precise things that are related to microbiology, or also like cell-based farming equally. So then another example that we have that we are particularly proud of as well is our EVA program, which is we support female entrepreneurship in the agriculture areas. And this is really fantastic because you know what? There are really in the farmers, communities, in the families, scientists. So some of those ladies that have been taking part in these programs are actually even scientists. And so this is also something for me that, you know, we need to, when we talk about rural areas, when we talk about what kind of people are there, you know, let's not have a one stereotype. We have to understand that actually there are all kind of a people with all kind of a skills, from more on a hands-on to very high level scientific skills. And so this is also a question that, okay, how do we deal with this? How we go with this startup village approach if we only, let's say, direct to one type of people? No, there are like all kinds of people. And this is really key for the success in this area. So we empower women in agri-food. And once again, you know, I think I was given a figure that when we started in 2020 in EAT food, we had like 176 applications. We were running it still in, I think, in seven countries. So not that many, 176. We were like, ooh, we need to have to do better. So in 2022, you know what, we had 1,600 applications. So this is how it goes. You know, people do want to go. Thank you, Gonzalo, because it is actually an achievement. Maybe for you think, oh, 1,600, but actually it's a lot when you really think about the target group of also of this approach that we have. But it's really like, it's about leadership. It's about making these women believe that, you know, well, actually you have it, you can do it, are absolutely capable. Often they actually do a lot of work in the farms. They're not necessarily recognized as a partner in the you know family community. I mean, they are obviously, but then at the same time they actually contribute more than sometimes 50% in the success of these farms. So through EVA program, we also try to see that, you know, maybe there are other skills that you always dreamed about doing, you know, in the startup area, or creating your own business, or seeing that, you know, how you can build more community that is actually gathering all the skills together. So this is what we try to do. And so here you see some EVA growth figures, the one that I mentioned, but also that, you know, in 2020 we had like 30 participants, and well, now we had like 260 throughout those 6 countries. So it's really is a really excellent program. And here you see some of the, let's say, testimonials that are indeed this lady here created a very specific company and product that has to deal with the horses and horses' health. So animal health is on the top of that question. And then here you can see this wonderful family. They basically probably were surprised themselves that how fantastic approach they can create. So these things actually really do exist. So what is next then? Tell me, what is next? So because that's what I'm looking for. I'm addressing you a call for action in a way that let's show then what is going to happen next together. We will obviously continue within EAT Food to promote these programs that we believe in. And we hope that obviously we will have you continuing in the actions that you are already doing, but then also probably thinking about something else that is going to make this Startup Village Alliance a success story in the coming years, despite all the hurdles that we have there and that we need to do. But I often say to my team as well that, you know what? Yeah, the sky is there, even if the food doesn't come there, but it's there. And sky is the limit, obviously, but then we have to make it step by step, and we will get there. So, in the same way, um, our Startup Alliance, dear Christina, let's take step by step with these great initiatives that we can gather together, and we will get there. So, thank you.